2025. I'm Amoy Harriet. We begin this afternoon with breaking news. Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, has been charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm and malicious destruction of property after an incident on Election Day in St. Elizabeth. Mr. Scott, who was the PNP MP candidate for Southeast St. Elizabeth, allegedly slapped a female JLP indoor agent in the face at the polling station located at the B.B. Koch High School in the parish. Now, the woman claimed the incident left her with a swollen face and broken eyeglasses. Police sources say he's scheduled to appear before the Santa Cruz Police Court on Monday, October 13, to answer to the charges. In St. Catherine, news at 7. Now, despite his party not being successful in the 2025 general election, People's National Party President Mark Golding vows to continue as the party's leader. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday, Mr. Golding said there have been instances where party leaders have tendered their resignation after losing an election, but for him, he's willing to continue to serve Jamaica.
I serve at the pleasure of the party, and I'm happy to continue to serve in the capacity as leader for as long as the party wants me to. And thus far, all of the MPs who have been elected, all 28, other than one who's overseas traveling, have signed a letter confirming that they have confidence in me and want me to be the leader of the opposition.
Meanwhile, Mr. Golding says he received advice from the party's lawyers who attended the final count that the magisterial recount was unlikely to change the outcome in any of the seats. But for the St. Andrew West Central seat, Mr. Golding says that seat is under critical observation by his lawyers.
In the case of West Central St. Andrew, however, the nature of the irregularities which took place there is being carefully scrutinized in anticipation of a case being brought to the constituted authority for appropriate relief. I won't be able to answer more questions on that today. That matter is with our lawyers.
Baseless, frivolous, and an indicator of desperation. That's how the Jamaica Labour Party is describing claims by the PNP that there were irregularities in the St. Andrew West Central constituency on Election Day. The seat was being contested by the JLP's Dr. Andrew Holness and the PNP's Paul Buchanan. At a press conference on Thursday, PNP President Mark Golding said he received advice from the party's lawyers who attended the final count that the magisterial recount was unlikely to change the outcome in any of the seats. But for speaking at a JLP press conference hours later, chairman of the JLP's Manifesto Committee, Kamina Johnson-Smith, clapped back.
The several legal bodies or constituted bodies which are empowered to take decisions in respect of irregularities. None of them received any reports. The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact, in particular, in respect of the Seaward primary polling stations, which were the last ones to come in, I think everyone remembers the nail-biting moments where the television stations had the Prime Minister as trailing, I believe was the language used, because those winning boxes were not in. And they're not winning boxes this election. Every election, the electors who vote in Seaward primary polling stations vote overwhelmingly in support of their preferred candidate, Andrew Michael Holness.
Meanwhile, Cabinet Minister Floyd Green has brushed aside the PNP's call for an independent inquiry into the general election, describing it as a sign of deflection. Speaking on CBM's lead story on Thursday, the MP-elect for St. Elizabeth Southwestern said the opposition is simply buying into its own hype.
They're trying to deflect. They're trying to not take responsibility for the defeat. They're trying to say things like, do an independent review, when they know very well that in the general course of things, our detailed report will be done, will be submitted to the ECJ, which has independent members, has 2 members from the PNP, 2 members from the JLP, and a majority of independent members who will do a review that happens every election.
Meanwhile, for former Director of Elections Art Fisher, in response to the PNP's call for an independent inquiry, he notes that the EOJ usually produces a detailed internal audit for both parties to review and assess.
During my time, the Director of Elections was required to produce a very detailed report on the election to the Commission. That would be done, within a year and a half. But given what we have heard, I would think that that request would be very urgent and would be expected within weeks. Okay? And that report, both political parties, including the PNP, who are represented at the Commission, would be able to look at that report. And based on the findings, I think that the Commission itself may or may not decide to take that action of asking for an independent review.
Now, Councillor Mario Mitchell expressed serious concerns about the monitoring of deportees at Thursday's Municipal Corporation meeting in Manchester. Mr. Mitchell questioned the tracking of individuals with criminal histories. His remarks follows a recent shooting on Caledonia Road in the parish, where deportee Dave Francis Wilson, otherwise known as Brownman, engaged police in an hours-long standoff and reportedly claimed 2 lives. Wilson, who had been deported 3 times, should have remained on law enforcement's radar, according to Councillor Mitchell, adding that he has repeatedly sought answers about deportee oversight. He insists that more stringent monitoring is urgently needed.
Shooting on Caledonia Road. I know a little bit about firearms, and some of the rounds, 745, 2.2856 rounds were found with the person who was there occupying the police for about 4 to 5 hours. If you know anything about guns, those are what I think those are what the military used to use in a gun that's called SLR, and those are even banned by the military and the government. So that's one concern. 3 rifles, guns may be there, and he was deported 3 times already. Somebody like that should have been on the radar. Somebody like that should have been under a microscope. A similar crime like this, no, not as serious as the one here, was already committed in Canada. So, begs the question again, when I asked about when Donald Trump was re-elected, I asked the question in his very council about those persons who are committed by deportation. Are we monitoring them? And I'm going to ask the question, it may be bigger than my good friend, Inspector Lloyd, but I'm asking from a standpoint where it needs to go to a higher place. We need to have some monitorization of these persons.
Mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, has announced that the Ministry of Local Government has selected the Hanover Parish Disaster Coordinator. She's set to represent Jamaica at an upcoming disaster seminar to be held in Japan next month.
I am extremely excited for the opportunity that was provided to me. I'm looking forward to learn as much as I can during this experience and to see how best this experience can help the nation on a whole, my parish and the nation on a whole in overall disaster resilience and management in the future.
And it's time for a break, but stay with us. Our live interview segment is next.